Greetings, I'm Professor Hobo, and welcome to another HOBOTECH News product review. ICECO makes some of the best 12-volt portable fridges on the market today, certainly with one of the longest warranties, 5 years on their CCOP Danfoss compressor. Well, ICECO just came out with this brand new model, the ICECO JP50Pro, which has some different features than their earlier models, including a UV sterilization light, and one of the things I find super cool, this magnetic battery. Now, why didn't people think of that before? But is this fridge any good? Let's find out. First, let's start with size and weight. Now, they're offering two different models right now, the JP40 Pro, JP50 Pro. The JP40 Pro is 42 quarts and the JP50 Pro is 53 quarts. This is the 53 quart model. So for this model, I'll put the size and weight down here at the bottom of the screen. Now, like all other ICECO refrigerators, this also does have the Danfoss CCOP 5-year compressor in it. Super quiet, super efficient. In fact, ICECO has consistently been the quietest refrigerators I've ever tested. And we'll go ahead and do some tests on that here pretty soon. One of the new features on this fridge is a UV sterilization light. So it actually puts UV lights inside the fridge for the first 30 minutes after you open the lid. So you open the lid, close the lid, and it does a sterilization inside. Another new feature is its bi-directional lid design, which means you can open the lid from either side. So it doesn't matter where you put the fridge, you can open it from either side at any time. And in fact, the lid is easily removable. Another super cool thing about this is that it actually has hookups on the front and the back. So you don't have to hook up the refrigerator on just the back or just the front. You can pick whichever side is closest to whatever you're plugging it into. And of course, like all refrigerators, it does have handles, but what's different about the ICECO is it actually has stainless steel grips, not cheap junky plastic, which is actually pretty nice. And another thing that's really nice is that it does have this really nice brushed stainless steel. It goes all the way around. It's a real high quality touch, which also makes it magnetic. And of course, like a lot of other fridges today, it does have this handle, which you can pull up, and it does have these practically microscopic, it looks like 3-inch wheels on the back, which do allow you to roll it around on smooth surfaces. Another super cool feature is the fact that if you accidentally leave the door open or not closed all the way, which is very common with one of these bi-directional doors, an alarm will start going off after 60 seconds to let you know, hey, you didn't put the door on all the way. Now that's pretty cool. And of course, like every other refrigerator on the market, it does have high, medium, and low settings. So that way, if you're running it off of a lead acid battery or a vehicle, it'll shut off before it kills your starter battery. Now, something that's unique to the Pro, and I haven't seen in many other refrigerators, is that this can actually be tilted up to 45-degree angle, either direction. So that means if you're an overlander and you have this thing tied down in the back of your Jeep or in the back of a side-by-side or any other off-road vehicle and you're doing steep climbs or whatever, the compressor will run just fine up to 45-degree angle. This model also comes with an AC and DC adapter, so you can run this fridge on both AC and DC. And it also comes with its own branded insulated cover. So these covers will actually help if you're in hot conditions, because I use a cover like this on my Dometic that I have in my van. I've ran that cover for the 5 years that I've had that refrigerator in there, and it does make a difference when it's hot out because this will actually insulate the refrigerator from the heat. Now, if you're running this in normal temperatures, room temperature or below, the cover is kind of optional. This is more of a hot weather thing. So if it's hot or if you have to, for some reason, put this thing in the sun, which you should never do, you should never put one of these refrigerators in direct sunlight, the cover will help. So the first test is going to be start it up empty, set it at 32 degrees, max mode. So it's already on max. We're set to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's approximately 68 degrees in here. Let's go ahead and start the stopwatch. So we'll come back when the compressor kicks off, and this is 32 degrees. Okay, the compressor shut off after about 25 minutes. I didn't get to the button fast enough, but it took about 25 minutes. Then it took 25 watt hours, the lower left-hand number there, 25 watt hours to go from room temperature to 32 degrees. And interestingly enough, when I looked at this before I turned the camera on, it said like 38 degrees or something, but I opened the door and I checked the thermostat that I put inside, the thermometer, and it said 29 degrees. So there you go. It says 28 degrees on the little thermometer I put inside, and it says 27 degrees out here. Now, ICECO claims that there's a UV light inside. Now, I didn't see any lights. All I saw are the two little white lights on the corner, so maybe they double as UV lights when you shut the door. Apparently, you're not supposed to look at the UV light. The UV light is there to sterilize.
I am nomad. That which is imperfect must be sterilized.
You must sterilize.
But since they do claim there's a light in here and you can't see it unless the door's closed, let's put the camera in there and find out. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys in here. Okay, are the UV lights on? Because it's showing on the display a little sun symbol. See that little red light comes on? That means the UV light's turned on. So let's go on to the next test, which is to time this from 32 degrees to 0 degrees, which is deep freeze. And we'll also see how much power it uses. So let's go ahead and set this, and we're still on max mode to get it to happen the fastest possible. Let's go ahead and hit resume. Now remember, this is about 3 minutes off, so I think it took about 25 minutes actually. All right, there we go. Compressor kicked on. We're pulling about 57 watts, it looks like. So let's go ahead and time this down to 0 degrees. All right, we are back. The refrigerator has hit 0 degrees. It took almost exactly 1 hour, because remember, you have to subtract a few minutes from that. And the amount of power it took was 53 watt hours to go from room temperature to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's see what the temperature is inside. Well, that there says 6 degrees, so that's not too bad. It's probably closer to 0 at the very bottom. So let's put this at the very bottom, give it a couple minutes. Up higher in the fridge, it's gonna be warmer. So up here, it might be 10 or 12 degrees. And down there, it'll be 0. So we'll just give it a couple minutes and see. Okay, we let this sit in here for about 15 minutes. It says 5 degrees. And this says 2 degrees. So it's off by a couple of degrees, but not too bad. All right, so we have the refrigerator set to 32 degrees. I'm gonna leave it in max mode overnight because I got 2 gallons of water in there and 6 bottles of water. So we're gonna let this sit overnight at 32 degrees so they all become nice and evenly temperatured. And then we'll start our testing to see how much power this thing uses overnight. Okay, we're back. It is the next day, and inside it says it's 37 degrees. All this water in here should be all at 37 degrees. It says 35 here, that's fine. This actually seems to be pretty accurate compared to other refrigerators. I have put it in eco mode. You can see the little green eco. I really like this display. It's nice and bright and very easy to read. I have this all reset to 0. You can see the watt hours down at the bottom, amp hours at the top, and time down in the lower right-hand corner. It's all zeroed out. It's just a few minutes after 4 p.m., so we'll go ahead and come back tomorrow, same time, and see how much power the fridge used. Okay, there's something I want to talk about, and that is how incredibly quiet this refrigerator is. Let me give you an idea how quiet it is. The compressor's running right now. We're about a meter away. Let's see what the decibels are. 43 decibels. It's whisper quiet. This is probably, if not the quietest refrigerator I've ever heard. It's very close to the other ICECO that I reviewed last year. That's one of the things about ICECO. If you hate noise, if you hate compressor noise, ICECOs have the CCOP compressors in them, which have a 5-year warranty. They're made in Germany, super high quality, super high efficiency. These things sip power and they're super quiet. That's why you pay more. If you want some junky $200 refrigerator that's gonna be noisy and fail in a year or two, that's fine. Just be prepared to buy a new fridge every 2 years. These come with a 5-year warranty from the factory, and they should last a lot longer than that. These are very, very good, very high-end compressors. So really enjoy the quiet refrigerators. All right, we are back. It has been 24 hours. The ICECO has been set to 32 degrees overnight for a full 24-hour period on eco mode. Let's see what the temperature is inside. Pretty good, 33 degrees. That's pretty rock solid for having it set to 32 degrees. Now let's see how much power it used. Looking in the lower left corner, it used 234 watt hours or 17.5 amp hours over a 24-hour period. That's pretty good. So how much power is 240 watt hours? Well, JACKERY 240, that could run it for a full 24 hours, or ICECO's own 250 watt hour battery pack. This actually has a 12 volt cigarette lighter on it, as well as some USB ports, and is available separately from the refrigerator if you don't have something like this or a solar generator and you just want a small thin battery pack to power the fridge for a 24-hour period. This will do it. Okay, let's do one final test. I do have this set to 0 degrees Fahrenheit on eco mode, and it's just a few minutes before 3 a.m. And you can see inside I have 2 frozen jugs of water and 6 frozen water bottles. These have been in here for 24 hours. It does say it's 16 degrees in there, which is a little bit higher than 0, but this is registering as 5. And like I said, I've had this on 24 hours. So let's see how much power it's gonna take over 12 hours in freezer mode. So let's come back in 12 hours. Okay, we're back. It's just after 3 in the afternoon. The fridge is showing 1 degree below 0, which is good. And in there, it's showing 2 degrees. That is great. It's like the amount of power it used was 375 watt hours or 28 amp hours over 12 hours. So double those numbers for a 24-hour period. So you're looking at 750 watt hours over 24 hours for a freezer. So I know a lot of you are staring at this battery going, you must know, what size is it? How many watt hours is this battery? Well, it's actually 250 watt hours. And that's pretty good. That'll actually run this refrigerator for a full 24 hours at 32 degrees, assuming you're at room temperature. Now, if you're at 90 or 100 degree weather, it's gonna go through this battery in less than 24 hours. But here in this room, I kept it at 70 degrees and it lasted a full 24 hours, no problem. So other features of this battery, besides it being 250 watt hours, is that it does have a USB-C output. Now, this is not power delivery. This is just a basic 15 watt output. And then it also has just a basic USB-A port, no quick charging. So you actually charge this battery through this input right here, and it does support charging through solar from 12 to 30 volts up to 100 watts. You can actually charge this with a 100 watt panel. Now, assuming you buy 2 of these, you can have one charging with a solar panel while the other one is powering the fridge. Now, in order to add this battery onto your order, there's a separate perk which has the battery included, or I believe you can actually add this on after you add the ICECO fridge to your cart. You can also get a slide mount for $199 for this fridge, assuming you want to install this somewhere where it needs to slide out, like the back of a pickup truck or a Jeep. By now, you realize this refrigerator is pretty kick-ass. It's pretty much top of the line. So you could expect to pay $700 or $800 or $900 for a refrigerator like this typically. But since it's currently on Indiegogo and they're doing their crowdfunding, you could still get it for the early bird price of only $529. You could get the smaller JP50Pro for $479. That's a killer deal for an ICECO fridge. Go to their website and look and see what they charge typically for one of their 55 quart fridges. You'll see they're usually $700, $800, $900. So to get this for around $500 is actually a steal. Now, this pricing is only going to be good for the next 5 days. After the campaign ends, the secret perks are gone. Now it'll probably go into in demand where you can continue to purchase it for a slightly higher price. But to get the prices I just quoted, you're going to have to get one within the next 5 days from their campaign page. And if you're interested in snagging one up before the campaign ends, there is a link below in the description of this video, along with a link here at the bottom of the screen. And I'll put a QR code right here that you can also scan with your mobile device. It'll take you right to their campaign page. Now, what about competition? Now, ICECO is up there in the top brand names. I think probably the top 3 brands in the world when it comes to portable 12-volt fridges. There are a few other brands you can buy. They're usually thousands of dollars to get a fridge this size. So you're getting a really high quality refrigerator at a really reasonable price. Now, I know already I'm gonna get some folks in the comments that are gonna start slapping the keyboard and be like,
"Hey, Hobo, I can get a refrigerator at Best Buy for $59, and it'll run all day on my 40-year-old 100 amp hour battery. Charging $500 for a little refrigerator like that is highway robbery. You're just out to rape and pillage all your fans. You're such a loser.
Hey, if you want to run out and get a $59 Best Buy fridge and throw it in the back of your Jeep, go right ahead. Go out and do some overlanding out in the wilderness with your $59 Best Buy fridge, and in about 5 days when it explodes on you and all your food goes bad, you'll remember this video where I told you you can't take a regular cheap old dorm fridge off-roading, take it up into the wilderness and run it in 100-degree heat, put it at different angles, run over washboard roads and stuff like that. These refrigerators are meant for taking off-road. And compared to that dorm fridge, these sit power 250 watt hours for an entire 24-hour period. Now compare that to the best dorm fridges out there. The best ones will do 350 to 400 watt hours a day, because they have little freezer boxes in there, and that's how they work. That little freezer box consumes a lot of extra power. Plus, it's an AC compressor. These run a DC compressor. So what you're basically doing is you're taking the power from this battery, going right to the compressor and spinning it. And the compressor is also variable speed. That's why you have a max and an eco setting. It'll actually wind up or wind down quietly in the background and to keep the temperature. Where that dorm fridge is going to kick on, it's going to rattle and shake and make a bunch of noise, and you have to run an inverter to power one of those fridges. For this, you don't need an inverter. So there's a real market for this. There's a real reason to buy a 12-volt portable fridge instead of getting a cheap dorm fridge from a box store. Thanks for watching. If you learned something today, don't forget to give me that thumbs up below. And if you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
Odin commands you to like and subscribe, and clean my litter box.
If your search for Sultan is a pain in the neck, go to YouTube and watch HOBOTECH, cause he's a testing this and he's a probing that. He's even been probing Odin's cat. If you want to get all the Sultan back, go to HOBOTECH. Yeah!
RV Golf Guy, Andrew Von Rupp, Brian Luters, John Jason Sirocco, Dr. Steve Eisenberg.